read them before they.
Allison will finally be scribe.
I know, I apologize for.
We're so Chip, I'm leaving this like copy in here that says Chip to be skipped next time, so that like when we get to him
Yeah. Because he
Skip him.
doubled up.
and we go back to Allison again.
Yeah, Zoom, Ruthann, Anna, Julie, and Mike. It's Griswold, Mike?
Indeed.
Gris?
WOLD. Yeah.
Okay.
Just like the National Improvement Awards.
Director. Okay.
Maybe related.
There will be a funny story I'd share about that later because it's actually connected.
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Appointments for additional changes.
So we can move the outdoor recreation department collaboration with library to the first thing in the new business.
Yep.
So that we don't have to keep Mike trapped here forever.
And I would wrap the sensory garden into that because that's one of the things that I think could happen.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we're not gonna do the July meeting minutes because we don't have them.
That was okay, so no July minutes.
Julie, for time, do you want to just give us like highlights for the report? Anything that's like super important for us to call out?
Here, Mike, if you want to look at what we're talking about. Extra
Thank you.
pages. Yep.
The things I purchased, I guess, I bought a 3D printer, a button making machine, and we'll build some programs around those. And I found 3 large bags of Legos at Goodwill, and bought those. They have several projects books included in each one, and we might hold the very first program as a way to try to find out if any of them are complete. Only one of the work carols has been claimed. The other party who strung me along ultimately declined. And I think rather than just keep trying like that, I'm going to have Dennis or Public Works dismantle the other one. Because it's just holding us up for that conversation area. Yep, that was a gist of it.
Okay.
Oh, those carols, you trying to sell them? Or weren't you trying to sell them? But
No, they were free.
they were free and nobody took them.
One took one. A guy took one of them.
Okay.
But the 4x, they wanted it, they just couldn't get it there. It's, if you know anybody who is connected to the, right there in Manchester, it's the, well, they're starting a homeschooling program, but they already have I think it's the Manchester Study Hall. I think
Okay.
that's what it's called.
But they just
The-
didn't have a truck to put it in that would fit because they're
Or-
enormous.
Or the people to know how to take it apart. That was my understanding.
Okay.
She was trying, and when I pressed her a little bit, she was like, I gotta dump it. I was like, okay. But we don't need it. Somebody mentioned the schools, and I can ask the schools, but I think if they needed it, they would have one.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Let's skip the Dropbox and go to outdoor recreation department. Operation and library. So Julie, do you wanna?
Well, I thought that I was gonna have a meeting with Mike to talk about some program ideas. I'm a little confused about where we stand, overall, because of Kent's input and then the Friends' input. But basically, Mike, I think you probably heard enough about it to know what some of the issues were.
With the kayaks and
Yeah,
everything,
with that, the friend, I was gonna ask the Friends to pay for it, and there was a big discussion on it, and ultimately didn't feel that it was appropriate for the library to handle it, because there's a lot of moving parts, so to speak. But it was something I was gonna talk to you about, and
Sure.
your thoughts on it. I almost feel like it's something that could be given over to the rec department entirely. You may not have a budget for kayaks, but I think if we did it as a collaboration, the Friends or the library's budget itself could purchase these, because Kent Ackley is willing to give us a good deal. But it's the kind of thing where people come out of the water, if they return the key to the padlock, they're probably going to bring dripping wet PFDs and that kind of thing here, and I don't really have any place to accommodate them. So basically, the biggest obstacle for us, I think, I don't want to speak for the Friends, but was winter storage. Winter storage was a big thing. There's absolutely no place to put it here. So, but you got that nice big building down there. I don't know how much room you have inside.
Yeah, so I think starting from the beginning, at least for my understanding, I've been still building out, as I said upstairs, like my institutional knowledge of how things have worked.
Yeah.
Still some questions out there that I feel like I need to have some discussions with Justin about, just to make sure that I don't misspeak or misrepresent what opportunities there are.
Yep.
As you know, there is the boat rec there.
Yes.
So on the MyRec website, there is opportunity for Monmouth residents to essentially purchase a permit to park their boats there.
Right.
Has anyone done that?
Well,
One.
so on MyRec, I can see that 23 spots are available. So I don't know if that meant 25 to start.
24, there's only one.
Yeah, so one has been there. So I've seen one kayak there
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah.
So it's either one of two things. One is not as many people know about it as you should, and that's just a fresh eye perspective coming in.
Yeah.
And or is there more room for just saying, hey, do we have the potential of just obtaining more boats that are town owned that people can potentially rent as opposed to reserve? That is again something that
For money? Is that what you're
that
saying?
they could rent it, yes.
And
Or
pay to the town?
potentially,
Okay.
we would just have to look at a model of what that would mean. Perhaps not. They do have to pay a permit, from what I understand, for housing their boat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's $50.
Yeah,
I sent you that thing. It's got all those details.
right.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, I did read that document before tonight's meeting, and it does mirror more or less what's on the MyRec website. So I think between us and Justin and finding out is what model makes sense. It seems again we have the adequate space to store. It's just a matter of how much will or should it pivot from people who might not be either utilizing that service that we currently have, or should it shift to, hey, we have these boats, this is where we're permanently storing them for residential use. And then during the off season, we of course would have to just figure out where the best place to store
Back
would
at
be.
Kent's. That's what I suggest. Kent.
I'd be willing to look at both
Southern.
options. We have the bathhouse. It does have ample room. So where the beach is,
Where Lisa had her lifeguards in the back, that area
Oh,
there. And
Where like the changing rooms and stuff?
changing
are?
rooms. the front
Okay.
part,
Yeah,
That's a big storage
behind.
area.
Okay.
it's a pretty large space. It's just more a matter of what we would feel makes sense for those boats.
Other place you could reach out to is the Monmouth Fair people, because they store big boats and kayaks would be
Oh, that's
small.
true,
yeah.
And they have a place to get stuff out.
That's a good idea.
So as far as like the collaboration goes, I feel like a conversation is certainly warranted for us to explore it further, because I wouldn't disagree that when you're talking about people coming into the library returning these items, I know in like Winthrop they have like fishing poles and such, but that's a little bit more controllable than thinking about wet soaking PDFs. That I think that those could be areas that we could look at it and just kind of take a walking tour together and say, hey, does this make sense? And just
We
kinda
like
figure out the fine
we
detail.
have the library of things, which is like free stuff that people can like borrow, like a book, like cornhole games and bunch of
Yeah.
cans and all kinds of stuff. And so our original idea was that the kayaks would be part of that, so people could just borrow them for free. But it's just we just have no idea how we could possibly rent out this stuff and get the permit signed and blah, 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 blah. Like
Right.
it was just becoming too unwieldy for a library that's open 25 hours a week.
Yeah,
I think the library, I mean, Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been always very good about wanting things to stay as free as possible. If the library's collaborating, we're not gonna wanna start charging people. It would have to be something where I don't know if they're signing up here and then they're relocking up their wet stuff to dry down there or something of that nature.
right. So I guess like, again, as I'm arriving to this is the first time part of this conversation and just kind of exploring ideas. If I'm kind of like juxtaposing the two from how I can kind of see it is, people right now are paying for their own personal use and storage at that boat storage area by the public launch. Whereas this is really being designed like no different than like checking out a book or any other service from library. Again, I think
And it would be like 2 kayaks, I think, like just a couple people
Oh.
could like paddle.
again, I don't want to misspeak. I would love to go through Justin as I am for most things. But I think that that's definitely worth exploring, especially knowing like the quantity of boats. They would just need to be labeled as correctly as possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
stored,
that has to
and
go
all
into
that.
planning for it, but, so I think the library will help in any way that we can help.
Yeah, and one thing that we'll have to look at is, so I was reviewing the Maine Municipal Association's underwriter message that's on
Yeah.
that message that you had sent. And I know that one of the things that they had notated in this email that's dated back to, looks like June of 2024, was just looking at like what town property would be considered covered by our insurances versus what would be things that, if it's up to the personal user using town equipment, like if we aren't providing life jackets, for example, we're just providing the boats, then we would have to just go through some channels to make sure that we're putting out disclaimers to say either a life jacket is required in order to use this and or use at your own risk. But I would feel much more comfortable saying you cannot use these town operated pieces of property without proper use of these. So again, just that's where Justin could be really helpful in looking at the underwriting and just making sure that anything that does fall under our purview as town property, we just make sure it fulfills within the underwriting process. And if it doesn't, what are the options from there to make sure things are covered adequately?
Okay.
That's my brief, I guess, you know, as much as I can feel like I can offer at least for some perspective on it. But I think it's definitely, again, worthwhile that conversation because I think there's a lot of outdoor rec things that we could look into a lot more.
Kind of tied in with that, and Julie had started the library things a few years ago, and then these conversations have come up, and now the rec there is, the overall goal has been to acquire items for people to try out. So before they invest a bunch of money into something that then goes on Marketplace or their yard sale a year later, what are the kind of things, and getting people in town more out there and exercising and physical. And so if you have thoughts about, and this is, the big thing came up because I think it was Nate Lewis who built that as a Eagle Scout project of having that kayak, you know, as part of the Recs and Trails last year, and having a place so people could not have to haul them down and make it more convenient. Well, it doesn't seem like a lot of people either know about it or taking advantage of it.
Right.
If they live on the lake, they already have the kayak. It's the people who don't live on the lake, they want to find out, they want to use it. So that's kind of how the kayaks and boats came along, but there are probably other things out there that they could take and go to Julie, sign out, or the library that aren't huge vessels.
Right.
And that's kind of where,
Like fishing rods and stuff, right?
well,
Yeah.
but, or, yeah.
And there's a lot of things, you know, that I'm really interested in exploring as I get more settled and kind of getting a good pulse as to what the community really wants to see. And one of the things I mentioned upstairs is how we're looking to obtain applications for this recreation commission. That I hope will be like really well represented by a variety of interests. And I hope that one, as you're talking about, is that more when it comes to more like outdoor rec related activities. And then how that complements everything else as far as like youth sports activities, young families, teenage programs, age-friendly programs. So we have a really robust offering that Mama can really offer for the community. So I know the applications for that are online. As far as when they're going to be reviewed, I'm not sure. I don't think anybody.
Have they promoted that at all?
And this was going to be my next question is, and it's kind of like, I guess, like a tangent coming back to the point is, from your perspective, where do you feel like folks in the community go for information?
They use that Monmouth community page and the other ones quite a bit, I think. Next door also would be a good place. And then like the library could share a link, our Facebook page, the PTO's Facebook page could all share links to the commission and say, hey, if you care about outdoor recreation in Monmouth, join the commission.
Okay.
But I think they're trying hard to drive more traffic to the town of Monmouth.
Sorry. Yeah.
Because that's really where that stuff belongs.
So I've been building out our rec website more. Fortunately, I'm
Is that a page within the site? Or
So
is it like
is
its
so
own-
my rec, and I'm familiar with it, having worked in a different rec position in Augusta, and so even though it was 7 years removed, once I hopped on it, it's very intuitive, but I was able to kind of retrain myself on it. So yes, it is kind of like a 2-in-1 package where it's a registration software program that interfaces with an a website that's really easy to upload. You just have to know the function. So if you ever want like a My Rec 101, I'm more than happy to offer it. Actually, I made a video that's posted on our Facebook pages and our rec website, which is basically like the how-to. So how you can not only find information on the site, everything from programs, but also they're called products. So the kayak storage, for example, is a product on our website. So walking through people how to find that information, how to set up your account, and how the system will read your account. Meaning like if you have a child and you go to register for a program, it's not going to allow you to register because it's going to pick up that like your age doesn't fit what is a kindergarten, first and second grade program. So it walks through how to make sure you add in all your members. But then again, it's a credit card based system. And then the town office, they've been able to take other forms of payment. But my goal is really to promote this program and website heavily because it makes everyone's life a lot easier. So like, for example, one of the things I'm doing, I know Mel Barter very well over the school. And so they have their open house on the 27th of August. So I'll be there promoting, what we have upcoming for fall programs, but having an extra laptop saying, you have a MyRec account. Here's like the brief one page of how to do it, but I can help people sign up there.
That's awesome.
But then familiarize again people beyond like, we also have all these other
You
things.
should do that at Apple Fest too then.
So I'll run the race. I've run the race a lot in the past, but
You
those
should
are
have like information on your shirt while you run, being like, sign up at my rec.
yeah, keep up the pace if you want to know anything. So like those are different like low hanging fruit opportunities that I see as things go along in time for me. Like as special events come up, represent the rec department, but then again, like still try to like
Are
push.
you going to be at the National Night Out tomorrow night?
That's tomorrow night.
I just drove by the police station where I just saw that. That's the first I've heard of it.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Well, it's family friendly. You could bring the kids and have a dog or
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Amber.
maybe we could share some details after.
There's a lot of giveaways for kids. We go every
Awesome.
year.
Yeah, the library. Is to say your big groups also you can make connections you're talking about. So the problem you have here is listen to this is you want everybody to go to the town website, which is already having a hard time getting people to go to it before you arrive, and then you want them to get signed up for the rec. But word of mouth, honestly, in this town tends to be the best. But there are some key groups. Hitting the open house is good. I would try to join in the Lions when they have a meeting. Say hi, I'm Mike.
Yeah.
This is what. It will spread that way. Visit the museum, ladies. Go to the open house. Go to the PTO meeting. It's the first Tuesday of the month. And
I'll
say
talk to
hi.
Mel though about that one.
Yeah, she's either she or Tisha are there. I mean, there's a certain groups
Yeah.
that are also there's like an overlap. Either they have kids or grandkids, or they themselves as age friendly, or just want to get involved and start playing and doing some of the stuff. Will find out that you're looking for people to join, but they'll also give you ideas and thoughts. I mean, you're gonna
Age friendly would be a great place to head up for the commission too.
Yeah, and this is what I want to be able to do. As I said, I'm in week 4.
Yeah.
So.
But they're not going to find you on there.
Right. And so I've been trying my best in the beginning part, which is why I got bogged down. Well, we didn't get just me.
Understood.
Of what are the first initial programs that are coming up that are a lot more time sensitive when it comes to soccer, and then the beach was requiring immediate attention and just kind of navigating that as a new person. But meeting with a lot of different leaders in the community, and this was one that's a great one to have to check off the list just to kind of find out where these other avenues are. That's going to lead to packing my schedule that much more, which is what it's intended to do. And then build more of the infrastructure, because this department has so much potential. I think it just needs to be streamlined more efficiently and effectively with all the other town entities. And it seems like it's kind of been like a standalone program with its own little niche.
And the library was definitely not involved really, so that would be cool.
That's why I'm here. So like this is where I'm excited to just build and network and be able to just find out again, like what's the pulse now, but also what are the things that are going to take some time to build some infrastructure to it. That might require staffing in addition to it. Like I know childcare is a huge interest right now. That takes time to build and to make sure it's not only safe and of quality, but like you have your space and you have all your SOPs and trainings. And so it's all part of the vision just kind of going through one step at a time.
Kayaks first.
And,
Kayaks first, kayaks and chopping.
and Kent Ackley, I think, and has a group that's trying to develop some trails.
Yes,
And it's not real clear where they are. They made a map on those.
This is the land that like the town paid for half of it and then some other organization paid for the other half.
I don't know, but anyway, the map that they have is just not clear where these trails are.
I know where the cross-country skiing trails are,
Yeah,
but there was gonna be new,
Yeah.
but anyway,
running
that should
trails.
be
yeah.
clarified.
And I don't have connection to the internet in here, but on my rec, what there is there's a facilities tab. And so Dennis did preload a number of them where common activities go on, but also for facility rentals. So as you can imagine, gymnasiums, the athletic fields, I believe Cumston Hall and various rooms that may get leased out or rented out, that's all kind of part of the facilities that I want to build out, whether it's just giving the geography of where this is, maybe a little history of it, maybe even like, I would love even some like drone pictures that kind of show like where it is in relation to things in the town. But those are the type of things that can get built out when it goes back to your point of when everybody kind of gets on board and realizes, yes, this is where I need to go get all the information, that's where they can actually see all that. It just takes some time to build it out.
Julie's also built up a really popular yoga program for
Yes,
like
and I
chair
know.
yoga.
And
Yeah.
It's in this room.
I saw that in the email as well, so.
And, like having that all in one place, like last year was the first year that I tried to coordinate with the rec department. And it was very loose, but I had the Cobblesea Watershed folks come and we did 2 programs. But because we didn't have that kind of coordinated
Sure.
effort to get the word out and we didn't have a fancy website for rec. Plus, I think it was just hard that there weren't more staff than just Lisa Hash at the time. I didn't even really know who Joe was. I didn't even know whether he worked during the summer. So, I get the okay from Justin originally to try to work closer with the beach. So, I was excited when they said that everything was changing because you were going to be full time. So I don't want to push you into stuff, but I mean, I've even been thinking like we almost lost the big summer party because it was just too much work for the fire department. But I thought, well, maybe the library can be more involved. Maybe the rec department can be more involved because there are a lot of things that seem to, I mean, it's at the beach. So it seems like a natural thing that rec department would be more
Yeah.
involved.
That makes me think, that's another one to put on your list of the groups, is you really should sit in with Dan or they meet on Thursday nights with the whole fire department. At their height, I think they have like 60 people in force and they're tied into everybody, but they end up, you think about it, all the things that do happen in this town, they are some sort of support or putting on a lot of the big things. And you think about how active those things are. They used to have the skating party, with the bonfire. They do the beach party. They help with the 5K on Apple. All these things that you wouldn't think fire department for rec, but there is a huge overlap with those guys and ladies. It's not just guys. And,
Yeah, they got
And children.
and
very
children.
supportive of the auxiliary.
Very supportive. Yeah, with the auxiliary, you're talking a big chunk of the people who make things happen in this town. But I would talk to them about what you're trying to get going.
They did have a meeting and agreed to do it one more year at least. Because they
Yeah,
were,
well, I
they were on
think-
the point of bail, but they did agree.
Yeah, well, I think where that lends well for me, and if we decide, if they're looking to relinquish responsibility of it after a year's time and looking for other people to plan, again, I always just like using the phrase institutional knowledge, but like that can help really understand like everything that goes into it, so you know just how big of the pie you're looking to chew.
I was talking to Chris Forney. He said anybody's welcome to it. He's like, we have file boxes that basically lay out how to put on fireworks, how to put on a festival. We collected over the years, and they were looking for a group to initially take it over. And then I think the heads went so well this year. The guys are like, no, we don't really want to give it up yet. But it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work.
yeah, it is.
It's a lot of work, but it's become a thing, and the town really, really likes it. And
Yeah, Well, I'll be interested to reach out to them and just insert myself
That'd be
and
great.
find out a little bit more about what they might need. And I know you're talking about the yoga stuff
Well,
as well.
I just mentioned that.
Yeah.
because I have this,
No, it's great
Very
because these
exciting.
are all just like, again, what feel like low hanging fruit opportunities. And one of the things that I was reading over in that message from the underwriter, it's a very short blurb here, but it can help answer a question as far as what direction potentially may be more worthwhile when it comes to a volunteer versus, who knows, like I'm a certified personal trainer. So like you never know if there's somebody in town that holds similar credentials that can become potentially a town employee. The reason why I present that is so when I read this underwriting message, it says town-run events on town property are covered. Any volunteers that are not covered by the town's insurance, so they would need to provide their own insurance. That would especially be true for therapy dogs and their handlers. This is just based on our last year message. But to me, it sounds like if you have a volunteer for yoga, we just have to double check, like, would that person be covered to run a program like that versus would we have to go through some channels within the town just to make sure things fall under the insurance. And if they are a volunteer and they're inviting residents on reserved town property, then they need to have likely their own, which would probably be a pretty big prohibitor.
well, I gathered from Lori too, that all volunteers are going to have to be having a background check also. So,
Yes.
Do you know more about that? Or?
So I will speak on the youth sport world.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes, please, thank you.
I'm not going to get deep in this history. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
I heard like even if I want to bring in an author to speak, that person is going to. Have to be.
That not necessarily. Basically, in a youth sport sense, is anybody who is going to be directly in the care of children
Well,
and
she
working with
told
children.
me everybody, even for adults. So I have to square that up.
Yeah, we can double check that from a policy standpoint. I can only speak from the section of work that I've really kind of been taking to hit the ground running since I've been in. But obviously, when you have big public events, and you have volunteers, you're not collecting background checks in those because it's like a one-off event. But to your point, when it comes to like an author or anybody like that, nobody's going to say that's a bad idea to do that just to cover. But I don't believe that is going to be a requirement. But we can definitely double
I
check.
need to verify that with Lori because that's what I was told.
Well, I
very
wonder
recently.
about
Man, I
the
sparked a whole
volunteer for
conversation
the
on that
children's
today.
story hour, right?
What's that?
What's that?
Isn't there a volunteer for the children's story hour?
Yeah, that's why I had
Yeah.
some issues.
Well, I believe so. Look at like the school, for example. I can't speak for Monmouth. I could check with Mel, but I know we went through it. Anybody who steps foot in that building, it's background check.
Yeah.
Like they have to
It's
be
quick
approved.
though.
But they do it, they
Yes.
scan your ID or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah, they have a program. I think it's called like.
You don't have to do it
Rack
for
or
one
something.
time or one time
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
yeah.
year.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
you
good
just
for a
wait, it takes
year.
like 5 minutes when you go in.
Yep, it's basically just your driver's license, and it just does a quick check. I don't know if it does. I'd have to double check if it does like a full extent like criminal background check. But usually, your like sex offender list. That's usually what it's looking for.
And they would also like to know if people are murderers, that seems like it.
Well, I think it's for like outstanding warrants and
Okay.
I think.
But yeah, if there's any like restraining orders or anything like that somebody like court orders that would be relevant to the type of things that I think there's like a whole, again, I haven't played with that system. It's one that the school houses. But I think there's like a whole table of options that you can
And it's
look.
only during like when hours when the kids are there. So like when we have a PTO meeting, you don't have to have one entered.
Right.
in. It's
But when I'm
only-
volunteering with the coffee cart and stuff, then I
You have to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think at the end of the day, as much as it feels like an eyebrow raiser to be like, oh man, we have to do all that. Again, it's just covering everyone. And I don't think it's a bad practice, but finding out more so from the town, like Lori and Justin, and just saying, hey,
Let's get.
is it all
details,
encompassing?
yeah.
And then under that, like where are the staple situations most common? And then when there's more unique ones, then we can cross that bridge. But I think going to the point where we started, looking at a program like you're talking about with yoga, which I think would be great, because I would say options for the beach are very much up for discussion.
Okay.
I have my fresh eye perspective. That will be for a different time and place. likely the rec commission when that gets developed. But there's a lot of opportunities to look at what waterfront programming does the town want, and maybe it's outside of what has happened before. I'm not as privy to what's been there outside of like swim lessons. I think there might have been some aqua aerobics.
A long time
Yeah.
ago, there were pre-COVID, there were aqua aerobics for adults. There was the swim lessons, there were splash camps, there were trips to Aquaboggan.
Right.
I had a discussion with a previous rec commission before it kind of disbanded. I think COVID just put a whammy on a lot of
Right.
stuff
Right.
about doing like a trip to the ocean, that kind of thing. They're doing some rec type sponsored trips that took within Maine, but were like a day thing.
Yeah.
Field trips in the summertime. Because, you know, when I worked at the school, I remember being floored working with kids who, when they were trying to get like, you know how it feels when the water comes under your sand? They lived in Maine and they had never been to the ocean.
Right.
There are kids in this community that had that. And you don't think about that because, I mean,
Yeah, well, so there's a lot of different avenues that can happen. It could be directly a beach program, which then does necessitate looking at like what is the beach budget, and what is it going to require. But then also there's other ways of looking at, like when I hear childcare is a need, there may be things that I might try and pilot this year if I feel the capacity of readiness is there. But an eventual idea, what I could see, and at least in a summer timeframe, kind of similar to how like Winthrop has their summer kids club program. A lot of city and towns have their own rec camp. I would be surprised if there wasn't a need or an interest for what could be potentially either a half day or a full day camp. And then at that point, then you have waterfront that's tied into the program outside of what you could think of all your staple, camp activities, whether it be sports, arts and crafts, hopefully boating and swimming, but then potentially even trips.
Lisa had done those. My kids did those. They were full day camp, and then there was options depending on how much you wanted to pay. Whether you just brought them at 9, you picked them up at 3, or you brought them like at 7 or 8, and then picked them up at 5. So it was almost like a week of daycare.
Yeah.
Really
They did
isn't,
the
there's
half-
not a
half
lot
day.
of day camp options in the area.
No.
Most camps are
They
overnight
were-
camps and real
they-
expensive.
Right.
She did a really good job with those flash camps.
Like it was like, I think it's the YMCA Camp KV. That's
I
like
used to
the
direct
big,
the camp.
that's like the camp. for
Yeah,
the-
I directed that camp for 5 years, and there really aren't. I mean, it's because there's a different, and I feel myself going down a camp tangent, but camp can often be a loose term that's used to advertise a summer experience. Whereas somebody who's grown up in residential camp and directed day camp that happen on actual camp facilities, it's actually a term coined by the state by definition. It just is a term that gets thrown around to try to use that to elicit, more like an advertising appeal. But to that point, Camp KV, in-town rec program in Winthrop. Other than that, outside of state YMCA camp,
There's like the
which is
karate
residential.
guys.
Mechuana does day camp. That's where my
Oh,
kids
that's
go.
not an
because that's-
overnight camp?
It is,
It's
but
both.
we talk about COVID. So I grew up going there. It's where I met my wife. It's where my kids go to day camp for the most part.
Norm's my cousin.
No, I didn't even know that.
He's
I'll
great guy.
have to pick on him. Norm's my
You deny it.
He's my personal and professional mentor in all facets. But so there are some pocketed programs, but when you look at but what do we offer here in Monmouth? Sky's the limit. And that's
Very
worth
cool.
exploring. I don't want to take up too much of your
Well,
agenda time.
I just wanted to ask if anybody
Sure.
has shown you that town survey from a couple years back.
I
Where
have
they
not
talked
seen
about-
it.
Okay, well, that's probably important to dig out because that had a lot about rec.
How
I don't
might I get?
know, somebody at the town should have that.
Dennis
I'm
probably,
assuming.
Dennis or Justin will definitely get it to you.
I've heard of it. I just have not had a chance to get.
I was like,
Big
I want
revision.
bike, path things, the things on the side of the road. What are the bike lanes?
Yeah, bike lanes. I know the town, the school does a pretty good bike program.
The third graders, they do the bike
Well, they
trek
do
at the
their,
end of the
yeah,
year.
their little. their
Yeah,
annual-
and I
annual-
guess they're developing a new trail behind the school.
I hope so, because I'm hoping it's also the cross-country trail, because we don't have a cross-country.
Yes, so Mel and I have plans to go walk out there, and so she can show me. And then coming back to the Trails Commission, it's on my docket to try to meet with them and just let them know I'm here and what I'm initially thinking about, but then seeing how the rec can help leverage a lot of that work to either advertise and or find out from the standpoint of like cross collaborations with libraries and schools of, I know there's like a story walk out by
I was gonna say,
Whittier.
we
Yeah.
already have that collaboration going on, it's been going on for years.
Yeah.
Julie does a great job with Whittier Woods.
Yeah, I walked through there in the spring, probably the worst time we probably could have walked through there,
Well,
but
yeah.
it was great.
Ticks. But possibly one at the beach, or at one point I was told I could put one on any town property I wanted, but you have to have the standards, whatever they're called, the platforms and
Right.
whatnot. So,
What other items did you say that people have the ability? I know you mentioned like park passes in here, but actual equipment that people can
Open the
either.
library of things? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
That's
that's
like
so funny.
it's
I
like
thought
outdoor
that was
rec-
just the name of your subject of your email.
No,
No,
no, it's
no,
literally,
no,
it's like terms.
some libraries
New
have,
guy in this room.
some
okay.
libraries have really big libraries of things, and they rent stand-up paddleboard kits and like.
We don't rent, well, but give
But,
up.
whatever you do
Right.
with the library book.
So right
And-
now we have a lot of craft kits because they're portable. We have them in little plastic suitcases that just go in and out. We don't have a lot of big ticket items. I've been collecting some snowshoe sets, but maybe that would be a better fit with rec.
Winthrop
Um,
Library has theirs. And
Some like
too.
yard games.
Here we have a storage issue because, big ticket items like the 3D printer, they have to be somewhere. They
Right.
shouldn't be moved around. They need to be exhausted, these kinds of things. So everything's a little bit tricky here, but I can show you the library of things. It's one wall.
Yeah.
So
Well, this is where it's fun for me to come in and listen to what either has happened, what is currently happening, and what could happen. And being connected with the Maine Parks and Recreation Association like I am,
Yeah.
which Monmouth is now a partner in. That's why we have those
Yeah,
discount tickets,
saw
which
that.
I already
You
set
can
up.
do
We're all
that.
good.
Yeah, I saw that.
If you don't know that, we do have discounted tickets for Monmouth residents for Funtown,
I saw that.
Aquaboggan, and North
Really?
Wild Kingdom.
Yeah.
On my rec, you should go check out my rec.
Yeah.
We will share that link.
So it's just discounted tickets. So it might not seem like a lot. I mean, like Funtown, it's $10 off per ticket.
So
So when they see 49 versus 59, that's just what the rates are for Funtown. Figure if you go as a family of 4 or 5, that's your dinner going out probably. So like those are some things that we have as the products in the site, but being connected with the Maine Parks and Rec Association, one of the things that I excitedly get to do is reconnect with a lot of peers and find out what are they doing 7 years removed from me in the Parks and Rec world. That's kind of like the new and the latest.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at Orno's website the other night. And they do like during the summer, I think it's like a 4-week summer series where they have like all your backyard games and their family fun nights. So like one night it might be like cornhole. The other night it might be like crochet.
we have a
crochet,
Connect Four,
croquet.
right? Connect Four and Cornhole. Those are the games that.
Oh, I have those. I can't I don't have them personally, but I used to have those.
I don't loan out Connect Four. I've got the big cornhole,
A big
which is going tomorrow night to the National Night Out. And then I've got tabletop cornhole
Yeah.
and some other stuff, but I can show you in 10 minutes. what
It's
we
way to
do.
just feature first of all, have events where people are encouraged to come out and participate, recreate together. I know Dennis does a lot of food truck work. I'm sure that it could be something even similar brought in something like that. But then it also lends for you to be able to say, we have these and they're on loan.
Yeah.
And so just kind of again like
Cross.
breathing.
Do you want to
all
snowshoe and read a book about snowshoeing? Yes.
the map of all the trails when you're out there.
Oh,
snowshoeing.
yeah. Good point.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of good stuff ahead. It's just more again, like as I said earlier, it's like building out that knowledge, building out the infrastructure. But I think what's really important for me to state, I have 2 different perspectives on what I'm going to say. One is we should have permission to fail, meaning try a lot of things and see if it works. And if it doesn't, be able to understand why. Maybe it's just a different iteration of that idea. But being able to give enough grace to the idea of making sure that what I know what I want to do in visions, like I want to make sure like I'm not throwing out too many one-offs, especially when it comes to like programs. Like I want to hopefully build things that are sustainable, that can grow in quality and in numbers. And so I'm hoping that will take sale, but again, like there's that permission to be able to explore and find out, but get all the information first, and then you don't know if you don't try. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, thank
And
you for your
your-
time.
yeah,
Thing is good because now you've got a few months before you gotta prepare your budget, figure all that out.
yeah. And so that's where I'll be leaning on, Justin. Like one thing it was already on the docket, but it comes down to budget, is like the playground area behind.
The
The rec
rec
building.
building.
When I went for the tour before I accepted the position, I was
Yeah.
like,
Why
There's
is
so
there a
much
super
potential
awesome
here.
playground here that nobody can use?
yeah, I'm like, and again, like I don't want to overstate things, but that to me was such a potential area on top of so many others, where it's just simply like resurfacing.
Yeah.
Maybe put down some like new basketball lines, pickleball lines, and doing a pickleball clinic, and having more inviting for young families to come out. Sure, it sets the playground. I know it's part of the grant, but that's where it has to be.
Yeah.
But just making any improvements that are needed, trim a lot of the growth that's come in, probably a new layer of wood chips, like things that can get those things back up to standards that, as myself as a parent,
Right,
would I
especially
wanna
for
bring
parents
my
of
own
little
kids.
kids who can't
Right.
use the playground at school during school hours, but they had this playground,
Right.
that would be nice.
and then you can have a kickoff event, whether it's pickleball or whatever, to just encourage people to.
The earlier school had a little putt-putt
Yeah,
set, so that was fun.
yeah. So maybe if you have your library of things, hopefully maybe I'll have my own like rack of things. I don't know, because I do have a storage shed up there.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I haven't gone through it quite yet, but there's space, and I think what I need to talk with Justin is how can that building be adequately used for more community-centric things. I know there's the meetings that go in there, but it's a big open space.
Yeah.
And it could be a place where more care programs could operate potentially.
There's also a committee of older people that are collecting appliances for people to use, like walkers and shower chairs and stuff like that. So-
Yeah.
And they were
That's-
looking for a place to park all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, on top of that, like there's a lot of sports equipment that needs to be recycled. It's kind of like everything kids. I went through like, I don't know, kind of want to see if there's storage areas. We're running out of space on storage ideas, aren't we? Of just like, again, like what it can be a service.
Yeah.
Especially for those who might not be able to afford it on their own, or just things are in really great condition, that we can just reuse for programs. So
Well, this is a great start.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we should definitely continue to talk. I know we're gonna catch up
Come
more.
by anytime.
Very good. Any other questions?
Good luck.
Can't
That's all
promise
I
you
can
have
say.
answers,
It's a lot.
Yeah, but
Man.
like slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And it's only month one.
Yeah.
So I feel like my goal is to be able to look back
Um,
year one with some cool metrics and measures for us to know like where we're going.
And one of the things that actually your name had come up 2 weeks ago is when you start planning your summer, because it's always a year out and you're.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so, and you start doing these camp weeks and things, and this happens every year, is that there's overlap between the cool things that are already happening in town. So like the Bible school, right here at the church, right here. Every year, and it's always the same week, it's been the same week for, I don't know how many years, and then goes into that week, and then somebody has had a sports camp,
Right.
basketball, or somebody's got, this, or they've got that. At least they did it once in a while, where there'd be a splash camp down there, and like, so where are all the helpers, where are all the kids? And so, last year, there were 40 kids that did Bible school. This year, there were 20 kids that did, because it was,
Can you see what the chat is about on the Zoom?
it's not, it's notifications and
Is
emails.
there
Okay.
But-
on that point, because there are some things that I'd be interested in trying to run in summer. But as far as those type of organizations, they're separate orgs. They're not under any auspices of like town departments.
I
Right?
don't know if the ones that they go at the high school for the younger kids, if they do, because my kids didn't, my daughter's gonna be a sophomore, my son's gonna be in 8th grade, and he doesn't do sports, she does tons of sports. But, so I'm not really sure on those age groups, but I don't know if they fell under rec, or if they fell under the high school or the school programs, the coaches just decided to run one and they did it
That's
privately.
what it is.
And so, and I don't know who's the person, if it's gonna end up falling on you, but there just always seems to be, and I know I'm not the only parent that has this frustration of whether it's theater camps or if it's
Right.
Bible school, it's like you have kids that have various interests and parents that want to plan a vacation. That's the other thing is they announce it about in May and those vacations have been booked in
Right.
February. And like, great. And then your kids crying because they don't get to go do their favorite sport camp with their friends because they're being going hauled to Grammy's house and 3 states away. And a lot of parents have had these conversations over the years of like, why can't the town of Monmouth get it together and have it so, they're not doubling up on these weeks. The biggest problem with Bible school was there were no teenagers to help. There's short on kids, but there weren't teenagers to be the crew leaders and those teenagers loved doing the Bible school, but they were really, really short. And that was one of those things when I was talking to Noni Prince about, she's like, I wish we didn't have this problem that just comes up all the time. And like, the parents wish this didn't happen. So that would be something else to put in your.
That's why they brought on this.
Okay.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, and so I've already spoken with a few varsity coaches because my son actually ended up going to like Eric and Wade's baseball basketball camp. So like I feel like I have a pretty good idea, A, who to get in touch with, and then B, who also has a coinciding program. Like I know Keith at girls basketball, and there's like wrestling. I can't remember if there was a cheering.
There's cheering.
But like finding out like, are those dates typically set every year? Right. And if they are, then maybe the conversation has to be like, we're trying to do our best in that overlap. And or is there flexibility knowing that these other organizations who are trying to look for the same kids and or leaders, what can we do to make sure it doesn't
happen?
So
thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's like the more awareness I can have to ask these questions as I'm building out these meetings, the better. Unfortunately, I know a lot of these folks, having just lived in Winthrop and coach.
Yeah, that's a great asset.
I feel like I've been able to hit the ground running, knowing like I already have their emails. Like, let's set up meetings and let it snowball from there.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
Well, welcome and thank you.
yeah, thank you guys. This has been great, and just keep me posted on, future meetings if there's something unique that comes up in your agendas that you feel like you want to chat about that has crossover, or even not. That's cool too.
Excellent. Thank
Very
you.
good. All righty.
Appreciate it.
It's nice meeting you all.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, enjoy your book on tape. And that's your phone, right?
Yes.
Mine's in my pocket. I do that all the time. I'll be on my phone, like with my wife, and be like, "Gosh, where's my phone?"
I had a book
That's a
club.
testament that being busy is a good thing, but maybe you're losing it.
I had a book club and one of my friends took my phone, thinking it was hers.
Yeah.
So I could chase her down the road.
Oh,
And then you're looking at like the GPS tracker.
Oh,
I
my
tried
God.
calling her, but
Ah.
she didn't answer.
Very good. All right. Well, enjoy your
Great
evening.
video.
Thank you.
Mike.
And I put a sticker on the back of mine so that it looks different than other people's because I was doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Good.
Yeah, that works.
So the Dropbox, have you asked and gotten approval to buy it from Justin?
No, you might have seen his response to the initial.
So you don't need his approval for that amount or?
No, I do need his approval, but he had questions.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't even clear on what his question was. But I'm wondering how we got here without more information, without more input. I mean, some people were under the impression that we were out of compliance with ADA, and that's why I wrote what I wrote, because that should not be being circulated. We were never out of compliance with the ADA. And that seemed to be how the building manager was pushing for the drive-through, which is, I explained why I did not think that was a good plan. And then Justin had asked some questions and I tried to respond, but I didn't hear back from him. I'm not sure where we stand right now.
I think, okay, I'm reading his question now, and it says like, will it be helpful with those mobility issues? And yes, it totally will, because they won't have to get out of their car, go into the elevator,
Well,
go upstairs, go to
I
the.
get that, but I had explained all that. So either he wasn't clear about what I was saying. I mean, I went at some length about addressing all that because of the issue of being told we were out of compliance, which we're not. so I explained how that would work. And then when I responded to him, I just told him again where we were gonna put it. Because the answer to both of those questions, I didn't even know if that was one question or two, but they were both, yes, but people can't park in the fire lane, right? And it's gonna be right just on that overhang, under that overhang. So if people if we're closed, hopefully, you know, they don't come when the theater's busy or whatever, but they can just park right next to it, get out, walk a few steps, and there it is. But
I think maybe you answered his question and he just was like, okay, good.
well, I'm not gonna assume that. I'm gonna have to ask him about if he has any further questions about it. But I don't now, because I was going to use what is actually a fairly significant amount of money out of my last year's budget. But that can't happen. So now my thought is either we're not gonna do it at all, or we could get somebody else to build it if, because Dennis gave me the impression he wasn't a big fan of the returns box that's out there. And I'm not either. I hate the way it's configured. It's not ergonomically good for us to use. But the friends don't meet again for
Until
another
October.
month and a half. So I was either gonna ask them for the money because I don't have any extra money.
Yeah, I mean,
in
I
my
think
budget.
if we
I
wait
think
until
we should
October
ask them.
and then we ask, and then
Yes.
if they say yes, and I think they probably will, because it's a great idea, we
Yeah.
get it, and then we have it at some point in the next few months. I think that's great.
I would move that we ask the friends for the money for that thing that you,
I second that.
Well,
We can't actually vote on anything, because, well, maybe we can. 'cause there's-
but I was wondering about Dennis's concern about that other box. I don't know why they
Well,
can't
I think-
coexist.
they can keep that there too.
I think so, but he seemed concerned about it. So I don't know. I didn't know if the town manager was trying to tell me get a drive-through or just continue on, but he still, I just thought the easiest way around it was if that's what we wanted is to go with the friends to pay for it.
I'd like to ask them.
Because even to use the McCabe monies, I gathered that anything I ask for out of those has to be approved by the select board. And that's just too many hoops to be jumping through.
Okay, so you will talk to Justin and Dennis about their concerns or questions, and then in the meantime, we'll just put this request on our list of requests for October. Okay.
Okay, so we're leaving it, Jameson, Justin, and then we'll.
That gives us some time because they don't meet.
Friends, okay, in October for money for drop, but then we'll know for sure what we're doing.
And then it does take, I think, 6 weeks to get it.
Will it be able to be installed if the ground's frozen in winter?
It doesn't get installed, it's on
Oh,
casters.
oh, that's right.
Yeah, so they can like
Yeah.
roll it in and roll it
That's
out.
right,
In fact, I think the truck is a big truck and we'll have to park in the front. We're gonna have to open the box right then and roll it back, because I don't think they can get it in the back parking lot.
I was hoping to have some information about storage, but Dennis is traveling today, so I don't think we actually have to talk about that.
About the 3D printer program?
About the storage for it.
Yes, so
we-
here's my take on it. I have a couple of friends who use them a lot. It should not be moved around, that it should be stationary, it should be vented. So that is half our space. We've got MOUs to that effect. And I don't want it in the library because of the fumes. But we could use this space and just vent it out. The windows are right there. And I think he's just going to have to understand that it needs to be locked. We agreed to all that,
Okay.
the locking of it, and I really don't understand what the issue is about keeping that office locked.
All right, well, hopefully I'll hear back from him soon, and I think it probably won't be a problem. Okay. Is there anything you want to talk about the sensory garden or the McKay grant money?
Well, I think that I would have to talk to Mike if he would even be interested in doing it.
Yeah, and let's like, we can wait instead of overwhelming him with like, we have all these ideas. Okay, is there
So
anything
that-
else we need to
so we're
talk about?
Tabling the cave grant / sensory garden for further discussion Julie's having with Mike. Is that, I'm writing this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a next year thing regardless, right? It's August.
Okay,
Yeah, I just think all things considered, the nature of the building, the architectural nature of this building. He's doing a trail back here, but I don't think the garden would be good under the trees. I don't want him to have to give up space here when there's room at the beach and might be an attractant at the beach. So that was my thinking on just approaching Mike about it.
All right, is there a motion to end
Well,
meeting?
I did have
Oh.
a question, I didn't want to ask while Mike was here, about this 6.6 month midpoint
Mhm.
evaluation. Is the entire board going to be at the meeting?
No,
tomorrow?
just the original evaluation panel. Just like the supervisors and Allison, I guess, if she
Well, I
wants.
thought once the, and Allison, you said?
Well, she was on the evaluation panel.
But I
last
thought
time.
this was a whole new ballgame with the,
Well, we're just following through with the action plan.
but isn't that under the new?
Well, the new action plan would be created with a new evaluation panel with anyone of the trustees who want to be on them.
Okay, I'm a little confused. Is this a new evaluation?
No. This is just like a check-in with your supervisors about how everything's going.
But you've already been through the action plan with the entire board, and now that they're on the amended ordinance, I assume that they would be there also.
No, this is just like a check-in with your supervisors about how the year's going so far.
Well, it talks a lot about the evaluation panel.
Well, the evaluation panel is the one that created the action plan. It's just like a normal part of employment where you have check-ins with your supervisors periodically.
Well, we haven't had that here for 12 years, so it hasn't been normal.
Well, I think that's what's abnormal is that it hasn't happened. This is sort of establishing like
Well,
what should be normal.
that was not just for the library, though. That was for, under the town's employment policy, it talks about that as a general thing. Not just for the library, not just because of the board. But none of that was happening with anybody prior to.
No, that's not
to
true.
that.
People were definitely having, annual reviews with their supervisors. Justin gives them to he's told me that he gives them to people who work for the town.
But he hadn't with me, and no one had prior to that for
I know,
12
but
years.
none of the past matters because like we're moving forward. This is the new way of things.
Well,
But you have not RSVP'd, so none of us we're holding the time in our calendars, and we don't know if you are planning on attending or not.
I'll be there.
Okay, great.
I apologize for not realizing I was supposed to respond to that.
Anything else? Is there a motion now to end the meeting?
I so moved.
and I second.
7:56.
Seven.
All right, all those in favor of ending the meeting?
Okay, roll on.
Yes.
Thanks, Beth. All right, motion passes, meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.